Hi, my name is Connor Boyack. I'm a husband, a father of two, president of a freedom fighting organization. I'm a beekeeper, a lover of ska music, and I'm also the author of the popular Tuttle Twins books. The free market think tank that I founded, Libertas Institute, changes laws dealing with property rights, free markets, education freedom, and much more. A few years ago, when my kids were still pretty young, they would ask me what I did that day for work. And I struggled to know how to talk to them about those types of ideas. I began to think, how do you teach children about things like the proper role of government or economics? So like many parents, I turned to Amazon hoping to find a book that would help me teach my kids about the principles of freedom. And I couldn't find anything. The lack of resources was actually pretty surprising and frustrating. It made me realize that there was a huge need for this type of material. So I started talking to a friend of mine, Elijah, about the idea of creating our own children's book. We had been wanting to work on a project together. He's a very talented illustrator, and it seemed like the perfect opportunity. We decided to start with one book just as a fun project, never imagining it would lead to so many others. Our idea was to take a very important and influential book that teaches the ideas of freedom and turn it into a children's version. So we picked The Law by Frederick Bastiat because it's inspired millions of people to learn about the proper role of government. I remember sitting behind a booth at Freedom Fest in Las Vegas, surrounded by patriotic people at this conference trying to sell our new book. I suddenly get this notification on my phone that we got another sale, and it was actually from Congressman Ron Paul and his wife, who had bought a few dozen copies for their grandkids. I'd say that's when we first realized that, hey, we're onto something pretty special here. And what was really impactful for me was hearing from so many parents who were amazed at the meaningful conversations that they were beginning to have with their children when reading this book together. And those parents began clamoring for more. They wanted more books. And so now we've created a whole bunch of Tuttle Twins books, a curriculum, a card game, and more, all to teach kids things like entrepreneurship, sound money, the golden rule, individual rights, the dangers of socialism, and so many other concepts. What's been particularly amazing is that not only are we teaching kids, but we're finding that parents are also learning a lot as well, because they themselves often didn't learn these concepts in school. I didn't learn any of these concepts in school. They weren't taught in textbooks or explained by teachers, and to a large degree they still aren't. It wasn't until I was an adult that I was exposed to these things on my own, and I felt like I missed out on learning these principles much earlier in life. My grandpa played a big role in my life by helping me learn a lot of these ideas. I remember he would often share articles with me or take me to events that helped introduce me to topics like the Constitution, property rights, free markets, and more. My grandpa was very proud of the freedom fighter that I had become since he helped me get on this path to begin with. He would often ask about our successes and what I was up to, and I loved sharing that news with him. When Grandpa was in the hospital and in his final few hours of life, I was standing beside him, just holding his hand, letting him know that I was there. He wasn't responsive, but I leaned over and whispered in his ear, letting him know that I would continue fighting for freedom as best as I could, in recognition of this shared legacy between the two of us that I wanted to keep going. Even though he wasn't responsive, I could seem to catch this faintest of recognition, this gentle nod, that he knew that I was saying that the message was received loud and clear. My grandpa's legacy lives on in my work, trying to help families like yours learn about the principles of freedom. I don't want your kids to wait until they're adults to learn about these ideas like I did. My grandpa helped me so much, and when I first became a father, I became suddenly aware of the heavy obligation that I had to teach my son about these cherished principles and how they can make our lives and the lives of those around us better. I began to see that there were so many other parents in the same boat who wanted to have meaningful conversations with their kids about the world around them and how it works, but that these parents, like me, didn't have the support to do it. So that's what the Tuttle Twins children's books are all about, teaching kids these important principles through fun stories and Elijah's impressive illustrations. And you wouldn't believe the crazy positive feedback we get from parents like you. The Tuttle Twins books are such a fun way to introduce discussions about big topics like government, rights, the economy, education, and so much more. This reads like an ad, but we just love them, and I know other families like ours will find them helpful. Thank you for writing such amazing Tuttle Twins books. My kids love them, and I struggle to get them to like books, but not with these. My kids are studying with the Tuttle Twins books. They're excellent and make learning government and economics super easy and fun. I'm on a mission to help every family learn about liberty, and the Tuttle Twins books are such an effective way to do it. I love seeing younger kids light up when they understand complex ideas that most adults have never even learned. Too many kids' books can come across as patronizing. Our books treat kids like they're capable of understanding and doing big and important things, because they are. So from my family to yours, I hope that you enjoy these books, but more importantly, I hope that you have some amazing conversations as a family, learning together about some really important ideas.